Music can have a profound effect on our emotions. Music therapy done by a professional is a clinical, evidence-based form of mental health intervention, but people can learn how to use music on their own to improve well-being.
Hello, my name is Freddie Moros. I'm CEO of Myndstream. We design and create music for health and well-being and are part of the largest independent provider of music for film and television.
Talk about pairing hitmakers and science.
One of the reasons why Timbaland's such an amazing partner to us is because they need icons to come in and say, this is why you should engage in it, and the personal story is the best one. Is this where I look at the camera and say, Fat Joe, call me.
We're here today with CEO Freddie Moros from Myndstream. Freddie, first and foremost, tell us what Myndstream is.
Thanks for having me, guys. So Myndstream is a music for health and well-being company. So we are the leading distribution and services company to music rights, bringing them into the health and wellness industries. So spa, hospitality, eventually into hospitals and healthcare. So yeah, we have a relatively broad base of the kind of services we provide, depending on which industry we're working in. But for the most side, we have a consumer side of our business, and we have the kind of hospitality and spa side of our business at the moment. So it's a mixture.
And how did it start? Like, how did the idea come about?
A lot of lucky timing, I would say, more than anything. We're part of a group company called Cutting Edge, which is the leading independent provider of music for film, television, advertising, and gaming. It's a family business. It was founded by my father 20-odd years ago, and he's grown it really well with my sister. In 2019, we bridged into the wellness space. My father had invested personally in an app, essentially, for mental health. Around the same time, Calm was just coming out. It wasn't Calm, unfortunately, for the family. But it was called Happy Not Perfect, and it was specifically to target and support teenage girls with social media anxiety and toxicity around that time. And what he found through that was mental health wasn't going to go away. It was a systemic issue that needed a lot of support. And so he kind of left with that and invested a bit personally, but he wanted to expand and do something at scale. And so we built a business and a direct distribution channel into these alternative areas, which are spa, first of all. We bridged our spa into hospitality, into hotel rooms. So anywhere where this music was being pervasively utilized, but pretty under-programmed, certainly not professionally programmed to the level you'd come to expect in film and television.
So today you're seeing a lot more of the artists getting involved in the science part of it, right? You're seeing Lil Jon now. I think he just put out a record. You're seeing Timbaland, who I know you guys are doing business with. Talk about pairing hitmakers and science and how and why you look at specific artists to be a part of this.
Yeah, it's all about trying to tell stories. When you're looking at a brand like a hotel brand, they're selling experiences and they're telling stories to their guests. They're trying to get them to come and continuously do things. Branded talent is one of the best ways you can tell that story because it relates to a guest in a way that they are maybe not expecting. So when you hear Timbaland coming across and doing a wellness music album, you know Timbaland because of his hits in the club. And then when he comes on stage at the Global Wellness Summit and says, but I should be in your spas too, and put me in there.
Yeah.
It's different, it's interesting, it provides a narrative for the partners to want to be able to work with them. And then obviously that's sort of the cherry on the cake, because the fundamentals is you've got amazing creative innovators who are used to disrupting genres, doing things differently. And the honest answer is wellness music, it's relatively established in its structure and its style. I mean, if I say spa music to you, what do you think of? You think of whales, you think of synth bands, and you think of like the same each day. So it's kind of it's a little bit dry, and there's an opportunity at this moment in time where people are starting to invest in building these stories like they have done in Scent. They built bespoke aromatherapy to fill their spaces. We feel the exact same way with music. You have the opportunity to develop a sense and do things in a disruptive manner. And the best way to do that is to work with incredible talent who are creative geniuses, who also have the opportunity to be able to say, I'm Timbaland, because that helps.
So on one side, you have the B2B side where you're going to spas, you're going to hotels, you're going to hospitals, etc., different spaces, and programming them with your catalog of music.
Yes.
Then on the consumer side, can people still access these songs and beats through the DSPs? Is there an app? Tell people where they could find Myndstream.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a YouTube channel which is got about 6.5 million subscribers called Yellow Brick Cinema. We have two other sort of lead channels with about 1 million between them within that portfolio called Body Mind Zone and Sleep Dream Zone. So all around trying to get people to sleep better. And then we have presence on Spotify and Amazon and any of the major DSPs through Myndstream ourselves, as well as also through our artists. So if you went and typed in Peter Cater or Liquid Mind or Benoit Koch or 2002, these are all living, breathing musicians who wake up every day to create music to make people feel better and to have specific outcomes, be it to help them sleep or to focus or to meditate. And so you'll be able to find it through various mediums, but we find the main way people end up listening to our music is because they're not necessarily looking for Liquid Mind, but they experience him because when they type sleep into Spotify, they come across Liquid Mind because the programmers, the playlist editors, they program him fairly extensively because of his quality and because of his authenticity in the space.
It's funny because I remember like a couple weeks ago, I was on a plane down to Florida and I was really trying to sleep and I put the Lil Jon album on. And I think it's only 5 songs.
Yeah.
But it repeated and I kept hearing it like over and over, but I fell asleep. And I have a hard time falling asleep sometimes on planes. And it really gave me the opportunity to sleep. And the other part of this is I was thinking about when you do yoga, right? And at the end, right, when you do Shavasana, and it's always a quiet, very chill song. It's never anything up there because it wants your body to react and slow down and quiet. So, how do you guys look at stats and how are you analyzing the analytics and looking at things in order to continue to build and forward think or to not do something anymore and refocus somewhere else?
A lot of test and learning. So there's a mixture of, we conduct a lot of literature reviews of ongoing studies. So music is now becoming quite an established field within the various different scientific communities, although often in very high impact areas. So you'll find there's a lot of literature on how music supports sleep within dementia care, for instance. So anyone with Alzheimer's tends to have a more significant amount of research around them, and music certainly is one of those areas which has been better researched within Alzheimer care homes. So when we're looking at the literature, we're trying to understand what's out there now, what's going on, and then fill gaps. So for ourselves, we run our own clinical trials. We run studies which can be observational and quick and dirty just to try and get a little bit of information. We did a test, I guess you'd call it, where we took one of our great focus composers, Benoit Koch, and we put him with an amazing music therapist called Dr. Marlene Sotelo, who runs the Ernie Els for Autism Foundation out here in the US. And her specialty is looking at focus. She's done literature, written research papers on it for decades, on focus within the autistic community. And so our thesis was, if we pair someone like Marlene with someone like Benoit, two specialists in their field, can we come together and create a really inspiring and strong focus track for autistic talent who are currently under-supported in corporate environments? And so we wrote the music and we then we did a deal with an organization called GAIN, who are essentially an autistic talent support community. I hope I got that right, because I'm not sure, but they help essentially big insurers and investment service companies recruit autistic talent, and then most importantly, retain them, because it's easy to check a box when you're going down a recruitment list, but you need to actually put relevant support tools in place if you actually want to retain that talent. And so they're an amazing organization to help them, and so they helped us then put together a study where a bunch of different, a relatively significant sample of autistic talent listened to that music, provided feedback directly to us. We conducted interviews, questionnaires. We found that the music was great and it worked to some degree, but there are things we could do better. So we went straight back to Marlene and Benoit, went back into the studio, created another version, did the same thing, And so it's a simple example of, there's no peer review there, there's no clinical evidence, but it's complete, it's just market research.
The last thing I want to end with is, Fat Joe, he has a son who's autistic.
Sure.
And, I wonder if, you guys could get together and tap on him to help do some music studies with kids with autism.
I love it. Is this where I look at the camera and say, Fat Joe, call me? We want to work with great talent who are, maybe they have some brand, which is excellent, that's the cherry on top. But we really want people who are quality and have an authentic story, because in my view, in this space where you're talking about health, you're talking about well-being, you're talking about these really intimate details and matters of humanity, You want people with authenticity who can communicate with that, which people can kind of get behind and want to be with you. So one of the reasons why Timbaland's such an amazing partner to us is because we didn't actively go out there and start pitching everyone. We found each other because he is on a wellness journey. He's transformed his life through physical fitness, and he cares deeply about the music. He cares deeply about the wellness. And so we could easily get up on stage at the Global Wellness Summit and just talk about his life and talk about why he cares about it. And that is so powerful for a community of people who need to hear it. They want to be able to engage in this stuff, but they need icons to come in and say, this is why you should engage in it.
Yeah.
And the personal stories are the best way.
Well, listen, we're excited to hear the music with Timbaland. We got Freddie Morose in the hot seat, and there's more to come. If you want to learn more about Myndstream, check out their website at mindstream.com. This is Misunderstood.